The UN Convention Against Racial Discrimination by Shannon McKenzie, Political Science 338. The establishment. The International Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, ICERD, was adopted and opened for ratification by General Assembly Resolution 2106 on December 21st, 1965. The entry was enforced January 4th, 1969 in accordance with Article 19. Charter of the United Nations is based on the principles of the dignity, equality inherent of all human beings. United Nations is to promote and encourage universal respect for the observance of human rights and fundamental freedoms for all, without discrimination as to race, sex, language, or religion. Also, it consists of 25 articles. Article 8, which is the picking of the committee. Committee will consist of 18 experts of high moral standing and acknowledged, partially elected by states parties. Elected by secret ballot from a list of persons nominated by the states parties, each party may nominate one person from among its own nations. Each election is initially held 6 months after the date of entry into the force of the convention. Elections of the members of the committee shall be held at the meeting of states parties convened by the Secretary General at the United Nations headquarters. The committee shall be elected for a 4-year term. However, 9 of the members will only serve for 2 years. Racial discrimination and how it is condemned. So the article says racial discrimination means the distinction, exclusion, restriction, or preference based on race, color, descent, or national or ethnic origin, which has the purpose or effect of nullifying or impairing the recognition, enjoyment, or exercise on an equal footing of human rights and fundamental freedoms in the political, economic, social, cultural, or any other field of public life. In Article 6, it addresses the states parties condemn all propaganda and all organizations such as based on ideas of theories or superiorities of one race and group of persons of one color or ethnic origin. The photo shows back in 1950s how everything was segregated and how it says whites only and blacks only. So its effectiveness. So the Universal Declaration of Human Rights proclaims that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights regardless of race, color, or national origin. The United Nations condemned colonialism and all practices of segregation and discrimination on December 14, 1960. Considering that the United Nations Declaration on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination was on November 20th, 1963, speedily eliminating racial discrimination in all its forms and manifestations, and to prevent the combat racist doctrines and practices in order to promote understanding between races and to build an international committee free from all forms of racial segregation and racial discrimination. So my first case is Brown versus Board of Education, but I'm focusing in on the Little Rock Nine. So what the Little Rock Nine was a group of 9 black students who enrolled in the formerly all-white high school named Central, and it's in Little Rock, Arkansas, in September 1957, which was after the first case of Brown versus Brown education. So this whole experiment was to test if winning the case actually went into effect. So on September 4th, 1957, the first day of classes at Central High, the governor of Little Rock used the Arkansas National Guard to block the door so these 9 black students couldn't go in. But later that month, President Dwight, he sent in the federal troops to escort the Little Rock Nine into the school. So however, I find this interesting because today we're still experiencing these same segregations. Schools are both black, white, Asian students are, and more, etc., are able to go into these classes, but their resources are not the same. So in Article 5, Rights of Humans, I just listed a couple of the rights that are listed in this bill. And a couple consists of the right of freedom of movement and residence within the border of the state. Another one is the right of nationality. The other one would be the right to inherit. Just like if your parents were wealthy, you are able to inherit their wealth, and like the government can't take it from you. Another one is the right of freedom of thought, consciousness, or religion. You're able to practice any religion you would like, or that's what it said. However, it is seen in some cases that is not the case. Also, right of housing is another important one. Healthcare, which is another debate that we still go through today. My last case would be the Black Lives Matter case, which consists of I will be speaking on the case of George Floyd, which is George Floyd was an African-American man who was killed at the hands of the Minneapolis police. A white police officer named Derek knelt on Floyd's neck for a period of 8 minutes and 46 seconds because a store clerk alleged that he had passed a counterfeit bill, $20 counterfeit bill, which was found that was not the case at all. The ICERD got involved, and it ensured that national and local public authorities shall not practice racial discrimination against any persons or groups. Also, it stated the committee also expressed concern of police brutality and stated excessive force used at the force of law enforcement officials against members of the racial and ethnic minorities, including against unarmed individuals, which has a desperate impact on the African Americans. And that's our presentation. Thank you.